Hey everybody, it is Kyle. Yes, and let's see here. So you know the title of this one, "Slow as Molasses," and it's so slow, in fact, that I'm not even going to talk about sales. There's not going to be uh, feather in our cap or eating crow this week. Really, it's I want to talk about this topic in particular, and this topic actually does involve the episode. The episode title. So, what topic? Well, I want to talk about the unfairness that eBay displays towards the backbone of their business, which is us. Yep, the sellers. All right, we'll be back right after this.
Yeah, tune in, you know the name now. Hawk picks, we running the game now. From the thrift to the flip, watch the...
Look, if you're anywhere near my age, I don't need to tell you that comfort is a big asset. You're willing to pay almost anything for good comfort. And let me just get a little bit old guy on you here for a second. When it comes to belts, I do have some thoughts on it. And I have gone through the ringer with this sort of thing. You know, recently I've lost a lot of weight, and it's been great. I feel so much better. But one of the big things that's made me feel better is the fact that I was already a user of Groove Life belts. I love Groove Life belts. I've had them since they first started coming out. And now, you can find them in local stores sometimes, things like that. I know I was at a Buc-ee's, and they had one with a Buc-ee's belt buckle. It's kind of funny. But, I have about 5 of these now, and I'm actually a spokesperson for them on Reddit. And, it was easy for me to be a spokesperson for them because I use their product. And like I said, I've got 5 different sizes, different colors, meaning thickness and stuff like that for sizes. But yeah, I wear them all the time. I couldn't go back to a regular belt. When you hear that click, you get a little bit of feeling of reassurance. If you lose a lot of weight or gain a lot of weight, you can adjust it back and forth. You can do that with regular belts too, and then you're going to get to a certain point where you're going to have to get something out and dig a hole in that piece of leather just to make it fit. You don't want to mess with that stuff. And regular belts also, they fall apart over time. I have the same Groove belt I bought the first time, which was probably about 6-7 years ago. And then I have some additional ones for various outfits, stuff like that. But take it from me, man. If you use this link that I got in the notes here, you'll be able to go check it out. You'll get a discount on it. It helps the show, all that stuff. Everybody's happy. Trust me, you're going to love it when you hear that click. So, I'm sure that if you've been doing this, reselling on eBay for more than a few months, you've gotten a return request and you've gotten screwed over by eBay in some way or somehow. It could be 1, the buyer lies or they stretch the truth as far as the reason for their return. 2, the buyer says the item doesn't work or it was incorrectly described in the listing, but it just plain wasn't. And, eBay has access to those listings, so they can see that. Or 3, the buyer fakes that the item was damaged in shipping or something similar to that. What do these all have in common, these 3 instances? Well, eBay will not have your back, and I guarantee it. Let me tell you about a recent couple sales that I've had and the difference between buyers being right and wrong in how they approach these returns. Okay? The first one is, and I think I talked about it on the last episode, but it's a cycling jersey. So I had a couple of these cycling jerseys that were Tommy Hilfiger branded. They're vintage from the 90s and really pretty cool cycling jerseys, and took forever to sell them. And we had them almost a year, I believe. We sold one, and then the other one just kind of sat around. They're both size large. And finally, this second one sold. It was a great sale. I mean, $75 for this thing. And yeah, it there was nothing wrong with it. It was in great condition and all that. And I think I told you guys this. Shortly after I shipped it, I get notified that, or I get contacted through a message system on eBay from the buyer, and he's like, so is this a regular size large, or is it not? And I said, well, it's a cycling jersey. It's a sports or an athletic jersey, so it's going to be tight. They're usually skin tight, for aerodynamic reasons when you're cycling. So, you can take that for what it's worth. But I'd sold another one, and they seemed to be fine with the size on it. And then he wrote back and said, "Oh, I'm going to have to return it then." And I was like, "Okay." But I said, "That's fine. You can return it as long as it comes back in the condition that I shipped it to you in. I will refund your money for it." And then he asked for my address to ship it back, because I told him he was going to have to pay to ship it back. And I said, "Well, it's actually on the envelope that you received, but fine, here it is again." And he shipped it back. I got it back. And then it's a whole other long story, but he kind of screwed up and closed out the order instead of going in and putting the fact that he had shipped it back and putting in the tracking number like you're supposed to. I mean, when you buy things and you have to return them on eBay, it gives you very explicit directions on how to return them. So there's no reason that, if you've ever bought anything online in your life, that you wouldn't be able to figure out how to do it properly. But somehow this person couldn't figure that out. Long story short, there's nothing I could do. And he ended up closing out the return before I even refunded him. And so there was that situation. But long story short, he still wanted, and I know I said long story short, that's 3 times now. But he still wanted to return it, and he still had no issues with paying to return it, which is good. Take that in contrast with this sale. So I purchased a bunch of electronic items from this person in this big box for $100, I think. Because I was looking at it, it was a lot of point of sale stuff in there. And I'm like, oh man, I see some things in there that are worth some money. And one of the things that was in there was 3 of them, was the Sunmi Android point of sale terminal. It's a handheld touchscreen terminal, and it has a receipt printer in it too. Runs on Android. The description kind of goes through everything that it's about, and never, ever, ever once, not once, does it say anything about Google or Google Play Store or anything like that. Yes, the operating system is Android. There's no 2 ways about that, and Google does make Android. But Google makes Android for devices also that aren't allowed to have the Google Play Store on them. Maybe this guy doesn't know that. That's fine. But nowhere on the description, or nowhere within anything that I have up here, does it say Google Play Store or Google Apps. That's because these are point of sale devices. They don't want them to be able to use stuff off Google Play. Google Play is not entirely safe. In case you haven't heard the news flashes, it's true. Sometimes apps get through their system and get sold or distributed on Google Play, and they're dangerous. They have trackers and stuff in them. And yeah, it can steal your information. And when you have that sort of thing, you don't mix that with point of sale systems. So regardless, this guy wanted to return this. But his reason for return is item defective. Well, item's not defective. I tested the items. I charged them up and everything, and I tested these, and they worked fine. And I responded to him and explained this to him, like, look, hey, you can return these or whatever you want, but these are not broken. You said that they're defective, and they're not defective. These things work perfectly. No response. finally, he comes back to me, and I just said, well, you can return them. That's fine. They have to be in the same condition they were when I shipped them to you. Even though my description and everything never says anything about Google, and you're going to have a tough time finding point-of-sale systems, professional point-of-sale systems. I'm not talking about Square Pay and PayPal and stuff like that. I'm talking about professional point-of-sale systems that allow you to install apps from Google Play or Apple App Store or anything like that. There's no such thing really, because it's a security vulnerability, right? No response. Then he finally came back and said, okay, can I have the shipping information? And I said, yeah, it's on the box that these shipped in, but here it is also. Ship them back to this address. And then crickets, right? So I reached out to him like a day or so later, and I said, hey, I was kind of researching this, and if you go check out Sunmi's website, they actually have options for you to reach out to them, and you can let them know that you purchased these used secondhand or whatever, and they'll walk you through how to get them set up so they're yours. And they can also help assist you with using their app store, because they have their own app store for security reasons. That's why Google Play is not on it. Nothing. Nothing at all. So I waited another day, and then I called eBay. I had them call me. You can have them call you. And I explained to them this scenario, and they were like, yeah, you have to provide the shipping label and all that. And I said, no, he has agreed that he would pay for the shipping back because these are not defective. And you can see in our conversation, if you go look at the messaging system, which I know you can see what we've messaged back and forth to each other, you'll see that indeed he knows that they're not defective and everything's okay. And he has agreed to pay for shipping to get these back to me. And they said, oh, okay. And I said, but the kicker is this return, I'm supposed to respond to this return by the 23rd. And, it's the 19th, or not the 19th, but I think it was the 18th when I was talking to them about it, something like that. And I said, so I don't want to get stuck in a situation where you guys just step in and take over and send this guy a shipping label, and I get dinged for that shipping label when we either find out he's already shipped it or something else, And they said, oh, yeah, I can understand that. But what you can do is you can refund them a portion of it. So if you go ahead and pay for a shipping label for them to return it, and they return it, and indeed they're not defective, then you can refund them, but just refund them less what the shipping label was. And I said, yeah. And they said, you can do that up to 50% off. And I said, well, I don't want to rip the customer off, I said, I'm not excited about this person. I'm not excited what they said as far as the item's defective. But at the same time, I'd rather just wipe my hands clean of it and have them pay for shipping back and then refund them their money. And the lady was like, yeah, I get that. I understand that. So she's like, well, we have a few days left, but, what could happen is you still would have to pay for the shipping label. Anyway, we talked through it, and I'm going to call them back in another day or so, and I'm just going to say, look, this person is not responding to me at all. They've initiated a return. I've talked with them, and I've had some messages I sent them and everything, and they don't respond. And just see what happens, I guess if I have to pay for a shipping label, that's not that much. But the thing that sucks is if I have to pay for a shipping label and this person, it's BS and they're lying, or which I would imagine. At first I didn't think that, but now I'm really starting to think so, because there's been zero response. I've received no information on shipping, anything like that. So I'm starting to wonder now if it's not kind of BS. But regardless. So I just don't want to pay. I don't want to get stuck paying for something when I did absolutely nothing wrong at all. There you go. So, yeah, there we are. So I went on and I accepted the return, but I did not send them a label. It said, if you can't send a label by July 22nd, we may send the buyer a return shipping label and charge it to your monthly invoice. So the funny thing is, when I talked to them, they actually even said that they reached out to them directly, and they're waiting for a response from them. Nothing. This person has not responded to anything. This person has not shipped anything, as far as I know. But I'm going to be the one who gets screwed out of it. And they made that very clear. It's just bullshit, guys. I really don't understand it. And, I also talked with them about the guy with the shirt. And we discussed that a little bit. And I said, hey, he closed this out. I mean, how do I refund him? I'm confused. And we figured a way out of that. And so I did refund him. I refunded him for the original cost of the item, fully. And they even thanked me when I was talking to eBay. They even thanked me and said, hey, I appreciate you doing that for the customer and all that. I said, yeah, I wish I could say the same for you guys, because it doesn't seem like that to me. It seems like I'm going to get stuck paying for a shipping label on this other one. Regardless, here I am. I'm actually going to have to call them today and talk to them about this. And I know they're going to say, well, you'll have to send them a shipping label. And my response is going to be, well, I will, if that's what I have to do, according to you guys. But I will take that out of the refund. And number two, I'm not even sure that he's going to respond and get the shipping label, because he won't answer me or you. And we'll see what happens. I know they have only a certain amount of time that they can handle this scenario. The point is this. Even when I call eBay, they can't and they won't help. This person won't respond, and they haven't shipped anything back as far as I can tell, but eBay is pushing for me to pay for a return that was something that was more than well described in my listing, and something that the buyer isn't being truthful about returning. They don't know how to use it. Maybe they were in over their head. I don't know. But anybody, I would imagine, who knows anything about point of sale systems would know you ain't going to be able to get Google Play Store on it. More than likely. It's a security issue. So that's straight up bullshit from eBay. And this is one of the reasons that people out there really want them to sell. They really want eBay to sell to a real businessman, Ryan Cohen. He's the CEO of GameStop. Now, this guy's proven multiple times now that he can be a success in situations like this. He did it with Chewy, which is the company he started. He started selling animal food out of his garage, actually, packing it up and shipping it to people. That's how Chewy got started. And then when he was no longer with them, sold it off to someone else. He ended up getting the job as CEO at GameStop, who was in major trouble financially and now is profitable again. One of his key aspects, he talks about marrying GameStop with eBay, and it would be GameStop buying eBay, is that think about collectibles, okay? So like baseball cards or video games or Pokemon cards or something like that. And even shoes, things like that. Because I sell tennis shoes, and they have to go through a process where someone looks them over to ensure that they are in the condition that I say they are, and that they are the actual shoe and not, fakes, because there are a lot of people out there making fakes for some strange reason. Imagine if instead of having to ship it somewhere and then them having to check it out and everything and then ship it out to the customer at the end, imagine if you could go into GameStop anywhere, because there's 1,600 locations, and you could take the item in and they could check it over right there and it can ship out to the customer. Yeah, that's ingenious, man. And he's absolutely right. That would change how things are done. And he sees the collectible market being the biggest aspect of that. It may not have anything to do with tennis shoes. I don't know. But he sees this collectible market and how much it's grown, and it keeps growing. And he says, this would be perfect for that. And he's right. I mean, that's just one idea this guy has. The other thing about this guy is this guy sells stuff on eBay. So he's been through it. He's done it. And he's also seen how they're not really supporting, eBay is not supporting their number one customer, which is resellers. Without resellers, eBay just doesn't exist. So he sees that and he understands that and he wants to right the ship. So that's what I'm getting at with this deal. I don't understand, the whole thing with eBay. I know that they say, well, GameStop's only worth $11 billion or something. And he's saying that he wants to pay $56 billion for it, but they don't even have that much money. But he's already proven that he can raise enough capital for $29 billion, straight cash. And the old goal is he would, half of it would be cash and half of it would be stock options in the company. And yeah, they just won't do it. They don't. I don't know why. I think it's ridiculous. Obviously, they don't want to run this company, the people that are in charge of eBay. They don't want to run this. They want to run it into the ground, but they don't want to run this. They have no interest or knowledge of reselling. They've purchased this from someone who purchased this, from someone who purchased this, from someone who purchased this, who came up with the whole idea in the first place. It's been through a lot of hands, and they don't know. These are a bunch of rich people sitting on a board somewhere. They don't know what it's like to, have to fork out another $15 for another label because someone's lying about whether or not they got something, or whether or not it works properly, or whether or not it fits right. They don't understand that. They think it's no big deal. It is a big deal when you are running your own business, and that's a way that you lose profit. So I don't know, man. I think it's a real shame. I think it's sad that this is how it is. And I think it's a bummer that eBay doesn't support their sellers more in a positive manner instead of kind of shitting on them. So we'll see how it goes, man. I don't know. I'm going to have eBay call me again. We're going to talk through this scenario again before the deadline for me, and we'll see what happens. I'm sure what's ultimately going to end up happening is I'm going to have to pay for a frickin' label for this moron who can't send it back in the first place, even though they agreed to pay to ship this back. They can't be bothered to respond or send me tracking or even respond to eBay, as far as I know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But as you can tell, I'm kind of down on eBay in this episode. I know it's the biggest format out there for me to sell things on, and for really anybody to. But there are other formats, I'm not opposed to pulling everything off of there and giving someone else my money for selling my products on their site. So we'll see what happens. I really have no idea, but you guys keep listening. I appreciate you guys listening. I wish you the best on this deal. I did sell another pair of those tennis shoes, by the way. They're on the way through the authenticator right now. So I have one pair left out of those 5 I bought, which was awesome. So I'm trying to remember, I spent about 40 some bucks a pair, and we've sold each of these pair for at least $160 each. So 4 times, what is that? 320, $640 in sales already from $160 in cost. So pretty awesome, pretty great deal. But yeah, that's what's going on. Hopefully when we come back next time and I talk to you guys in a couple weeks, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about some sales that are going on, about the feathers in our cap and the eating crow and all that jazz. But until then, again, I wish you happy reselling and happy picking, and I will catch you on the other side. Thanks a lot, guys.
Leaving the rest behind.